The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has said that electricity consumers who bypass their meters will be forced to pay up to 450,000 naira as fine. This is in order to regulate plans to deploy prepaid meters in government ministries, departments, and agencies so as to avert future debt accumulation by the MDAs. I'm not sure I should even share this story because I was guilty of this matter. And usually, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have to say, I always obey the laws, and because of, you know, on TV, you can't be saying one thing and be doing the other. But this particular day that I think our meter, we're still using the old, there's a new one that you pay online. We don't have that yet. So we have to actually go to the office to pay. So I think it was on a Sunday or something like that, they ran out, or maybe Saturday evening or something like that. So my husband then called the electrician to just quickly do bypass, very quickly, just for Sunday. So on Monday, he will go and that Monday, he went to, because of planning burial. Yeah. It was just very recent, planning burial. That Monday morning, he rushed to Ife. Totally forgot that he had to go and pay the NEPA, forget him. And that was the Monday that NEPA decided to stroll by and entered my compound. Oh my goodness. So first of all, I was trying, I appealed to the office, okay, please, Oga, please. I called everybody I could call, all our callers, I called them. He said, Morel, this one you're on your own. This one is a major goof. So I had to go to the office and I paid 77,000 naira. Wow. It was 50,000 naira for the bypass, and then the other small charges that had to be. In fact, the guy was very, very helpful because I was supposed to be about 100 something thousand naira, but because he saw that I was paying every month. So that was just a one-off thing. Yeah, that he saw that for the past 1 year we paying monthly, and he could see that we're consistent with paying. So he knew that he agreed that story.
He believed your story that was just yesterday.
That was just a quick bypass. But after that day, no more bypass. But you see, this now.
450.
It's a lot of money. So there are a lot of people out there that are bypassing.
Now, I have a personal story. Some weeks back, I went to my office and there was no power. And while we were discussing with the property owner, because the owner of my office complex also has an office there, and we're just talking, it was like, something happened that the Oshodi Solar LCDA couldn't afford to pay NEPA. So NEPA cut them off. That's power, Ikeja Disco cut them off. And in retaliation, the chairman said they should lock wherever the transformer was, and that's how all of us were put in darkness, just because the MDA could not pay its bills. So when I read this, I understood immediately. If there was a fine, you know, for this kind of things, some, you know, proper structure. I have been victim for under Ikeja Disco, considering what I've been paying for my dad's place. They've not rectified it. Estimated billing, we've gone. I paid. They even made me think that, you know, it was owing, whereas they had been removed from the grid because they said that area they don't generate enough funds from that. Let me land. They don't generate enough funds from that area, and that's why they were removed from the grid. So there was a lot of corruption. Somebody trying to, you know, to just stress me out. Mr. What's his name? The Oduton was so helpful. He connected me, and the young lady was just stressing me. I had to call, send an SMS to the CEO and talk to the PRO before this thing was settled. But before then, I had gone to go and clear a bill that wasn't even supposed to be paid. Now, they've not rectified anything. They just brought a bill and said there's a new outstanding. So I have all those bills now in my post, waiting for time to go.
Issue of this fine.
What I don't understand is, if there's a fine, is there a normal, you know, proper rule of law that someone that is paying, someone that is not owing, someone that is not, you know, doesn't have outstanding, so that we don't have somebody billing somebody wrongly, even under prepaid meter. We've been trying to get prepaid meter forever. They did not give them. Do you understand?
Okay. This
so they're making double profits.
Should not be about people that are bypassing meter, because people hardly bypass meter. When you when you pay an estimated bill that is even more than paying from your meter, you will not bypass your bill. I stay in a room apartment, self-contained, that I pay 4,000, 4,500, 5,000 naira per month. So you don't tell me if I have a meter, I won't even pay up to 1,500. I won't even pay up to 2,000 naira. So I would not bypass my meter in the first place.
That's you.
Now, wait, that's not one. Give people the meter first before you start saying that they are bypassing the meter.
Good point. You're right.
So I agree with this fine. I believe that when you have to have strict measures to curtail corruption, and this is a major corruption, and many people bypass. Many, to the point where the ACs are direct, the regular house bill. So you're paying bill, but you're not paying for your AC. People do that. I didn't even know that we were cutting that, because my building where I live, we were cut off for almost 3 months when we were trying to manage the crisis of who bypassed in the house. But we were all cut off. The NEPA man came, investigated each meter to find out that there were only 2 flats that did not bypass, mine and a neighbor. We didn't pay fine. We paid the connection fee, but we didn't pay fine. Right. The people that did the bypass, some did bypass for pumping machine, some did bypass for security house. Each flat that did bypass had to pay a 50,000 naira fine for bypass. Then the number of months that they've had the bypass, because we're like, if based on your bill, you would have been paying this much. Right. So with all of them that I've paid now, I tell you, nobody in my building would try bypass again.
So why? Because it's a deterrent.
It's firm enough to ensure that it doesn't take place again.
But you see, that goes back to how we have the integrity issue we talked about this week.
Yes.
We must actually take ownership of this. Let me take Yakub. Yakub, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, Morayo, in as far as I'm concerned, bypass is not good. Yes, I agree. But the question now is this is a double standard. That we are using prepaid meter, yes, you said that we should not bypass wire, which we will not do. And then you that you does it, you pay for it because of just 1 day. Now, Morayo, the question now is this. Those ones that does not have a prepaid meter, they pay exorbitant money like 5,000, 10,000 naira just maybe. Good. This is a private sector, Morayo. This is not more a government issue. This is a private sector. Now the private sector does not want Nigerians to cheat on them, but they are cheating on us. So you come to fight for those ones that does not have a prepaid meter, and then they are giving them a crazy bill and all that. Who is going to fight for them?
It's not even about this person. How do you remove a person from the grid? Say this area is not commercially viable, and then still be billing them for darkness.
But these are complaints that you must take directly
verified by me. I have evidence of them. I have the receipts I paid. I called the PRO. I expect a rectification. They did not do it. So I understand where Yakub is coming from. I understand that yes, if you have been given a prepaid meter, do not bypass, because you know they would be, that's corruption. But they are also guilty of corruption in many ways.
So here's my take. We have this law now that is saying a new rule of that 450,000 naira for bypass. But we also had a rule that says that if you don't have prepaid meter and you are not being properly metered, the minister mentioned that you should not pay.
Don't pay.
My parents have for the past 2 years the same struggle. They've been given estimated billing, and the issue on ground has been that this estimated billing does not reflect the consumption of power. Even when they did not have light for months, they were still given estimated billing. The minister has already said that don't pay. But when they dared not to pay, they are currently cut off. So the rule must be cutting across. If you don't want us to cheat you, don't cheat us.
Okay. Let me take this call. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, actually, I support it, but we should look at it in another perspective. Now, government are using this thing to make money. Just like what somebody said. Somebody said it's the private sector. And they make laws because they know the poor people, they can collect this money from them. I'll give you an instance. I want a security aspect. After doing your giving your certificate or whatever, you have to go to civil defense to also register it. 4 years back, the money is too low. But starting 4 years back was increased from 800,000 naira to 3.8 million naira to register under civil defense. That means 500,000 naira for the form, 100,000 naira for each of the directors. Then you pay 3 million naira to get your license. Now tell me, Moyo, are we going to make job for people? Whenever that government just see that they need money, they'll just go to the poor people to get money from.
Thank you very much, Williams. But I need to say something. We need to actually, I think we as Nigerians, need to go away from this cynicism or skepticism about the system. If we want something to work, we must understand that, first of all, remember these schools, they're private, right?
Yeah, private.
They paid money to bid for this property.
And we'll bill them twice.
Exactly. They don't have money. So they've always had issues of, we don't have money because people are bypassing. People are not paying their tariffs. They're not paying.
Which is why I agree with this.
So in trying to clean out the thing, we citizens also must take responsibility to make sure we pay. So let's not assume all the time.
One way they can actually achieve that quickly to make money is to meter everybody. Now, the corruption that happens is even within their own offices, because their staff will go to areas that are already out of grid and cut off people on estimated billing, collect money directly and put in their pocket and do not remit it to their offices.
Why?
That's why it's important for them to fight corruption even within. We need meters everywhere.
Okay, point taken, yes.
Why is there no fine for PHCN not giving people meter? I need an answer to that. If you give me an answer to why there is no fine for PHCN,
who will they fine?
No,
PHCN.
I can go and sue
The fine will be that we don't pay
so how much do you have to
not
sue
being
anybody
on
in court?
meters.
Because somebody has to tell me why I'm paying 5,000 naira for one room.
So we have tweets.
Quickly.
Peter Heaven says, from Abba, good morning, beautiful ladies. The truth is that electricity distributors in this country are confused.
Yeah.
Mo Berry says, can you please help me explain how you bypass meter and you cannot even... Sorry, I didn't get that question. Akim Amao says, you want to justify doing wrong. You are also guilty of trying to get... Sorry, I'm not getting...
All the tweets are not right. Okay, let's move on then. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we discuss industrializing Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Since Nigeria gained independence, every government talks about some form of industrial policy aimed at stimulating industrial growth and transforming the economy from being an import dependent to a manufacturing country. According to the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Nigeria may not continue to be the leading African economy except it is industrialized. How can this be achieved? Joining us on the show is a financial analyst, Mukhtar Mohammed. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. We've been hearing this industrialized, manufacturing, we want the country to diversify. All these words have been jumping around for the past few years since this new administration came on board. In your thoughts, are we heading towards industrializing Nigeria, or what are the factors we need to get us to that point?
You didn't add one, restructuring.
That's the newest one.
Okay, industrialization of Nigeria is actually a hope and uphill task for us. Because anytime you hear this slogan, it's when the price of crude is going down.
As we remember, we need to move.
So immediately things come back to normal, like it's gradually coming back to normal. Nobody's making noise about it now. Now, in terms of industrialization, you need fund to industrialize your nation. And you industrialize from your core area. It's just like you're working in a place, that's your main source of income. You can't solely depend on that to survive. You try to create multiple sources of income by going into other ventures. Now, you use your core strength to develop other areas. Our core strength is crude. We are supposed to use it to develop other areas, but we are not doing that. Now, even in the development of other areas, when you talk of agriculture, you don't just say agriculture. Agriculture is very broad.
Right.
You look at what is your competitive advantage. Now, what product in agriculture can Nigerian produce that will be linked with in the world? When they say cassava, will you call Nigeria? When they say poultry, will you call Nigeria? When they say cocoa, will you call Nigeria? When you say cocoa these days, you call Ghana. When you talk palm oil, you call Ghana. Indonesia. And meanwhile, Indonesia came here to get our palm oil seed. When you talk of Dubai, you talk of tourism. Now, they use their core strength to develop this other means of income, which will now complement their other source of income.
So what's the place
I've been a believer in 1 point, 2 point, or even max 3-point agenda. And I've been saying this right from Jonathan's period, where we had an 8-point agenda, and then moving on to Buhari's time. We don't have enough funds to fund capital ventures. Today we found out that 15% of capital, only 15% of funds for capital ventures have been released because we don't have money. So how do we industrialize Nigeria within the lack of funds that we have? You mentioned Dubai. Dubai has moved from tourism to medical tourism. They moved even into renewable energy, creating this, that when you want to think of medical tourism, don't think of India anymore. Think of us, Dubai. We are making that happen. They planned it. Where do you think we can plan with the limited resources we have at the moment?
We are not a country that plans. We eat everything. So just ask anybody, the commissioners of finance. I'm sure they were in Abuja last week to collect what they have to collect. You see, the challenge we have is that we politicize everything. Now, when they are shouting restructuring, nobody is talking about restructuring the economy. Everybody's looking at political restructuring.
Sharing
So, sharing of position. Nobody is saying, okay, the Southeast have coal. How can we restructure to build that coal mine? We're always sitting in one place, so that's why they have the power. By the time they cut us off, we're all shouting.
Mr. Mukhtar, the countries that are first world countries today built their countries from industrialization, and at that time there were no rules against greenhouse emissions, all these environmental abuses. Today, the Minister for Finance was saying at some point in time, I think, that coal we have it in abundance. It's one resource that we have in abundance. But our bilateral treaties that we had signed against greenhouse and environmental pollution is what is restricting us from utilizing coal. And coal is what even the English of the UK used to develop
even
their
South
economies.
Africa is still generating most of its power from coal.
So what against these restrictions, what ways can we go?
That is an excuse.
Thank you.
She just answered. That's an excuse.
America
Everybody
just
has
pulled
excuse.
out of Paris.
You see, you don't.
We have these treaties. Can we abuse them?
We don't. You can say some of these treaties are not signed. There is a limit to what you can. Like. Okay, let me give you an instance. Because we are not getting the cash cow from there, that's why we bring other excuse. Emission from refineries. Are there not still emission upgoing? But we're not supposed to have stopped it. Did we not sign an agreement to stop it? Why are we still having it?
So, can you talk about the line you draw between agriculture, industrialization, and economic diversification?
They're all grammar, all the same thing. You just choose one, you diversify.
The one that pays you per time.
The one. Look, let me tell you, the problem we have in Nigeria is we don't have long-term planning. No government comes with a common vision, and then the next government comes, it cut off that vision, it brings another vision. Now let's say you cannot plan industrialization in 4 years, in 8 years, in 10 years. No nation has achieved that. Okay. Dubai gave themselves 20 years to be here. China gave themselves 50 years to be here. Indonesia gave themselves 20 years to be where they are. And they had a common vision.
Followed through.
Okay, I wanted to ask concerning, because I think it was last week we were hearing about Morocco's entrance or bid to get into the West African and ECOWAS. Now, of course, Nigeria is seen as a threat. Oh my goodness, becoming, because most of them are French-speaking and they are likely to trade easier with Morocco. But in planning and getting Nigeria industrialized, do you think we'll be better off trying to have some kind of relation? Because we're afraid of them becoming the superpower in the Southwest. Is there any kind of deal we can have with Morocco such that they help us, instead of getting into ECOWAS, work with Nigeria instead, such that help us build our industries and manufacturers so that we can both then become superpower, some kind of option, instead of just sitting back and say we don't have any money.
Nigeria doesn't play international politics.
Okay.
We don't know, normally we don't know how to play international politics. We try to play the politics with those that we are more powerful than. Okay. We don't try to relate with those that we think are powerful than us. Right. How we can learn from them. We want to make relationship, want to build relationship with those people that we solely depend on us. Right. The only country that we are saying to build relationship with now is China. How are we doing that? We are even doing that to our own disadvantage. So it's not because Chinese are bringing anything fantastic for us. It's just, that is our mindset as Nigeria. We always see ourselves, we want to be the big brother. So whenever anybody comes to us and want to fight us, we try to say, how can we get these people out of the way? Instead of what can we gain, how can we come together? Right. You know, a friend of mine told me something and he said, and some people have said it the other way, is that when the average or the poor man is quarreling with themselves, they always fight in themselves. They fight with all their strength, everything. They don't want to have anything in common. He said, but when the rich man have having problem, when they have a common agenda, they will keep aside their differences and begin to talk how they can forge ahead with their common agenda.
Now, knowing all these problems, we have highlighted all of them. But if you're still going to look at industrialization, where is that path we have to follow as a country, and number of years and things that we should focus on that would definitely take us there?
We have a strong point. We have good climate. We have good weather. We have the resources, I mean the human resources.
Okay.
We might not have the technological resources, but we have the human resources. You just look, if you want to look at what we can do, look at an individual. Take an instance, take Dangote. Dangote is all over Africa. No. Even in the same Morocco, that which Dangote is building a cement plant there, thinking of how to export cement to Europe from that axis. So it's not that we don't have the resources. What we don't have is that we have the good paper network. We always have good agenda. We have the papers. We know how to draw the agenda. We know how to draw the paper. What we lack is commitment and sustainability, continuation of what Vision 2020.
Since when?
Vision, they've come with a lot of...
It's now 2028.
Now 2028, house for all the year 2000 when I was growing up, till date.
Okay, so here's my take on this, and I think I must use this platform to further it. We know that the key to any form of industrialization, the success of any economy relies on power. Why don't we just scrap everything that we're struggling to fund right now? And we suffer because every developed client that has moved from third world upwards had to suffer at a point. And why don't we just scrap everything, suffer and focus on building power and then building education? Because we don't have, we keep saying we have numbers, but our numbers are not skilled, equipped numbers to move our economy forward. How can we push that now?
There's already a challenge there. Because if you want to build power, we are trying to use the gas. Now, we may have what we call a graveyard peace in the Niger Delta because everybody is allowing everybody to mind his business. So now, first and foremost, we still have to deal with that issue on where are we going to get this power from? Are we going to use the gas? Do we have the infrastructure? Remember the movement of gas. If just take our petroleum product, for example, where tankers have to move from one area to another. That involves a lot of planning. Do we have the patient?
If you sit down and make that our plan for the next 4 years.
Well, remember that we have made plan that all our turbines will be supplied by gas. And the commission places without even gas being there. Not even source of gas being there. So we have that challenge. The challenge we have is that every administration want to take glory over a project.
Right.
Nobody is coming to continue what somebody has started. The Mambela Plateau is supposed to give us about 15,000 megawatts of electricity. Jonathan, Obasanjo stopped, Jonathan started, Buhari have started. Nobody tried to start from where the other person stops. Right, and that's why the contractors are easily corrupt.
Right. Let's take a quick break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Yes, Nima.
So, Mr. Mukhtar, you know Nigerians, we like to politicize things. Are we our own enemies when it comes to how government and how government can continue in industrialization? Because government is a continuum. A new government comes in, not same party, and it continues with the good policies of its predecessors, and some people start to say, they don't have idea, they have nothing. Their team is not, they are not thinking because they are continuing what their predecessors are doing. Are we our own enemies when it comes to how we are progressing in this
even on state level?
I don't think so. Okay, let's give an example. Did we call the former governor Babatunde Fashola a zombie, or he was following what
no, they said they had a grand master plan for Lagos.
Cool. So what is a grand master plan for Nigeria?
So that's the problem.
Well, that was same party.
Lagos is developing. Yes, it's moving. Because there's look, it's not about party. It's about the vision, the common vision. If you tell me, if we all see that where we are going is good, and you come to continue that angle, we'll follow you. But the challenge again, the challenge we have in Nigeria is that the politicians now are not Nigerians. Look, it's the politicians that come with these slogans.
Yes. Well,
they sell it to us. Now, what I will say, in essence, is that they politicize it because the contractor supported the other party during the election.
Right.
So they need to get their own person on ground that supported them to come in place.
There is something I wanted you to make a comment on. A chief economist, his name is Mr. Charles Robertson, made a statement saying that Nigeria only has 60% literacy rate. that for you to grow any country, you only need 40%. But if to industrialize a country, you need between 70 to 80% literacy. The ordinary Ghana has 77%, and it's actually, investors are comfortable. People are ready to invest and industrialize. But Nigeria's literacy rate is such as 60% that it's possible that our country has kept our educational system such low that we cannot progress to that point. Do you agree or do you disagree with that statement?
Well, it all depends on where we are coming in from. What is education? We need to ask ourselves that question. Education is when what I'm doing, a common definition of education is when what I'm doing is not trembling on your own rights. Then I can read and I can write. I can absorb. You can give me an instruction and I will follow. Let me tell you, in developed country, the only thing they do to their pupils or students when they are growing up, they first of all teach them their rights. What are your rights?
And give them capacity to think.
So, once you know your rights, you are able to confront any issues. Now, Nigerians' challenge is that we don't know our rights.
At all.
We don't know our rights. You were talking about the metering problem. There is an existing law. But like she's pointed out, no, because maybe you want to impose that law, they cut you off. And fear comes in, you are not ready to fight. Right. Because other people behind you will go and pay and be connected. So you become the low ranger there.
Let me take this call from Lokoja. Bukola, are you there?
Hello.
Thanks for calling. Okola, go ahead, please.
I don't know why it is difficult for us to identify Nigeria's problem. Nigeria's problem is that Nigeria is very, very poor. I'll give you some statistics. Very, very poor. And people talk of mineral resources here and there. Before I became an accountant, I was a geologist. I'm practicing as an accountant now. So, most of the mineral resources you are seeing there, you talk of Elisha Gold, you talk of mining in Jos, you talk of everywhere they are. We call it in geology shows of deposit. They are not commercially viable. What I'm saying in essence is that Nigeria budgeted 7.4 trillion. I googled New York City budget. New York City is like a local government.
Yes, sir.
$86.84 billion, which is the equivalent of a 30 trillion naira here. You know, the problem the government is having is that they know they don't have money, and the government is not sincere at all. They should be sincere to themselves to admit that let industrialized nations come to Nigeria. Let's open our doors.
All right. Thank you very much, Kola. That's a good point, because there are countries like that no, they don't have, and they allow other countries to come in.
There are two sides to it. When Kola says we open our doors, the opening of doors we've done so far is to our disadvantage, because the jobs are going out. We have businesses come in and give preferred jobs. We're not protecting ourselves with policies. I was watching Platform on Monday, and they mentioned how one of our major, what should be an advantage to us is the difficulty, because we're multicultural and multi-ethnicity is making people fight for themselves as opposed to the unity of Nigeria. And once we cannot think as one, we cannot have a common goal at a point in time.
Yep.
So should we just say that this is, let's leave industrialization, let's leave power, let's leave everything, let's focus on thinking as one with a common agenda of growing this country. Then we now start arming ourselves with what we need to grow this country.
You know, when there is injustice, perceived injustice, it might not be injustice, but it's a perceived injustice, then coming together as one will not be easy. It's just like you're in a family. When you're a family and you are the daddy's favorite, mainly you thought they say, no, you are talking because you are daddy's favorite, because daddy. So if you go and sit down now, you want to talk as a Nigerian, say, come, let's think as one. The Southeast will say,
we're the one producing oil.
I mean, the Southeast will say, since we fought the war, we have been politically not there. Then the Southwest will say, look, we have the educational, this thing we've been. So there's a lot.
Can I pause you for a second? Sorry, I know you have a question, but let's go back to this issue of industrialization. Isn't it possible that we lease our industries for the next 10, 15 years to a country? So you know what? Come in, hang in there. It's just 15 years. Come in, do our railways, do our roads, do the textiles, do everything for 15 years. So that, I mean, the issue of South Africa, when the whites came in, they brought in all their contacts. Now, although the blacks now are having issues with the fact that, listen, you should want to hand over these things to us, but that's there. But we go into it planning so that 15 years, hand it over to Nigerians. But at least it will help industrialize our country. Don't you think?
Remember we were complaining about power. What most Nigerians forgot was that at the time they were privatizing the power sector, General Electric, GE wanted to come. So many multinational companies wanted to come to Nigeria because they saw Nigeria as a good market.
Right.
What happened? Everybody know there was this fight that you don't sell out your national assets to foreigners. That is like security.
Right.
So the security part of it has to come. And that is why they now said most of these power companies have to form bilateral relationship with some of these people, technical relationship, for them to support. And at the end of the day, they were not able to meet up financially to this technical relationship. That's where we are now.
Mr. Mukhtar, I really believe that no matter where we have gone wrong or how far we have drifted, we can still industrialize this country and still move forward.
Ourselves.
Yes.
Look,
and that's why I would want you to talk to which one person of Nigeria, the people themselves, what is that role they have to play for this, even though if the government is not looking that direction, that we can still industrialize this country.
You see, we are already playing our roles. The ordinary Nigerians are playing their roles, to be factual.
Yes, sir.
Because some of them leave 010, some of them goes out in the morning, you see them in traffic. They're just begging the government that come up with something, then we'll key into it.
Create an
avenue. Give us that line. Look, industrialization is not difficult. Look, let me give you an example. We are shouting, the government is so happy, everybody is so happy now, that by 2018, between 2018 and 2019, we will no more be importing fuel. Because one man decided to have a long-term vision. Say, in the next 10 years, I'm going to establish a refinery.
Right.
And now so can't we as a nation? So our problem is that we don't have political leaders that have business sense.
Right.
What we have is we have political leaders that have been in the public sector where everything is cheap.
Cheap and easy.
So they don't think out of the box.
Unfortunately, we have to
make money.
Unfortunately, thank you very much. That's all we can take, but don't forget, please, celebration starts on the 9th of this month, which is our
next week Monday,
and it's an annual festival in celebrating the memory of Fela Kuti. Be there, we're going to be there. Let's support celebration. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.